I mentioned this at the start of our conclave today, that every initiative that has been taken at Rishihood, right from the time that a child interacts with us at the stage of an inquiry, or when someone refers a child to us, or likewise, from that particular time till the time the child is here on campus and moving forward as a student, as an alumni, every initiative is taken so that there is a certain sense of value that the child can take up with each and every interaction as well. That's the thought behind developing the admission process as well. We did not want it to be a simple admission process wherein a student comes in, applies, goes through the various selection rounds, gets to know whether he's in or not, and that's about it. You don't have any other interactions beyond that. We wanted it to become more of a mentorship program. So even if a child is interacting with us and by chance the child does not make through our selection process, he still would have taken some value out of his interactions with the university. I'm just showing you across very briefly on what we educate students, and I think this is a basic framework that as an educator all of us need to have. A lot of times we fail to give very clear guidance to a child as to how do you pursue your career choice as well. So whether a child wants to be in art, craft, design, wants to be in music, psychology, I think the first step is we need to encourage them to write down their interest areas, do a lot of research. And when I say research, I don't mean that you go to Google Baba and select one article and then you're like, I'm done. This is what my research is. And I say this from experience because one of my cousins recently did that to me. He wanted to pursue finance instead of engineering, and he said, I've done my research. I said, okay, fine. I'll give you 1 month's time. Give me a 10,000 word report on what you intend to do in finance. 3 days later, he said, nahi Anju, I think I'll continue with engineering only. क्योंकि मैं इतना काम नहीं कर सकता. So I think students also understand the word research very, very differently, and we need to encourage them to dig deeper into their interest areas, find out what are the colleges that are there that can sort of help them get through those results. And once they've done the first step, the second step, the third step, find out the colleges as well, and then most importantly, sit with your parents and discuss the financial viability. There is a constant battle between counselors and teachers and students. Teachers come and say कि हमने तो उसको बताया 5 colleges बहुत अच्छे थे. These are very, very nice colleges, but the child does not want to go because the family is not allowing. Maybe the family has financial constraints. So as an educator, if I can get to know that, maybe I can get in touch with the university and see what sort of options we can sort of work out. So that part, and of course, go through the admission process for various things. We've put through a panel of about 6 or 8 pointers that we usually ask our students to keep in mind while selecting a university. Again, mind you, the idea is not that when I interact with a child or when you interact with a child, the child has to come to Rishihood. No, it's not the idea. I'm very proud in saying that for 23 as well, for the 23 intake at the commencement of our initial years, but I'm very clear that I do not want more than 200 students across 9 programs in my college, which means in a batch I don't want more than 20 students. I don't want 201, I don't want 1,000 students. But I need 200 students who are very curious, who will have the courage to go ahead and explore new things, and who will, at the end of the day, find the joy that they're looking at. So the selection process is more focused on identifying that right child to come into the university as well. But I'm meeting on an average basis, on a daily basis, I meet at least 500 students in a day, on an online session, offline session, and so on and so forth. What do I tell the students who are not going to be part of me? There are 6 to 8 parameters that you keep in mind when you are selecting a particular college. And you all are educators, whether you're direct career counselors or not, your child is going to come to you and say that I have a confusion, please help me out. So maybe you can keep these in mind as well. A residential campus, again, not because we're a residential campus, predominantly because if it's a residential campus, it also means that about 30-40% of your learning happens within classrooms, but a lot of your learning actually happens outside your classrooms with your peers. You are being continuously assessed on group projects, you are being continuously assessed on projects where it will enhance your teamwork as well. So it's necessary that you're in a residential campus to interact. The other part that it does is it brings you a very diverse peer group to come together. Parents are not worried कि hostel के लिए कहाँ जाएगा. So naturally, currently at Rishihood, I have students from more than 25 states, a couple of international students on campus. So the conversations that happen between a girl who's from Chennai and a boy who's from Arunachal to a particular student who's from maybe Sonipat are vastly different. Naturally, the ideas that they come up with are also vastly different, and that sort of helps in the kind of intellectual stimulation that every child should get in a particular university. The third part is obviously the faculty-student ratio. UGC, the University Grants Commission, which governs a lot of universities, gives it a mandate that every university should have one teacher for 20 students. 1:20. I personally feel that's too much. One student for 20, one particular faculty having to take care of 20 students, everything, their academic problems, their non-academic problems, everything is too much of a number as well. So try and see that you are helping them get into universities which have a 1:5, 1:10 sort of a ratio. It will help them have a very personalized sort of an experience. And naturally the other aspects like an industry exposure, a lot of other things I think are very common. At Rishihood, we've identified 5 areas of impact where we feel that once a child gets into these areas, he will be able to create ripples immediately or even after a certain point of time. These are the areas of entrepreneurship, creativity. You all are part of for the Creativity Conclave today as well. We have courses in healthcare, public leadership, and education. 5 core areas that as a country we require to do systemic changes, and we can go ahead towards building a very sound nation as well. The sort of programs that we offer today at the undergrad level, I have about 6 courses. So I have a BA Honours in Psychology, a program in Economics, we have a BBA, we have a BCom Honours program. At the undergrad level again in Creativity, I have a Bachelor's in Design, which focuses on product design, fashion and textile. You have communication design, you have interior architecture. You also have minor specializations in ceramics and likewise that you can take. And at the healthcare program, you have a BSc Honours, which focuses on public health and hospital administration. Another question that a lot of people ask me is, why don't you have regular MBBS, MD courses? बहुत सारे लोग हैं उसको कराने के लिए. There are a lot of specialists for that. But at the cusp of it, I think one thing that COVID taught all of us was that public health systems in the entire country need a revamp, right? So we focused on programs like the public health and hospital administration for there. And of course, at the postgrad level, we have an MBA, we have a master's in design. We also have a 1-year postgraduate diploma program in public leadership, which is typically for work executives. That's why I've not mentioned it here. The admission process is very simple. I have a sweet team that helps across each and every student, each and every counselor, each and every educator, guide their students as well. It's a 3-step process that we usually call. There's an online application. You have an aptitude test. If your child has given the SATs, or in terms of creativity student, if the child has given a NIFT exam or a UCEED or any of these courses, I can waive off the requirement for this aptitude test. And you're followed by a personal interview that happens with the admissions panel as well as the faculty panel. Now, the online application is a very important part. I've also labeled down the selection criteria. The way that we look at a child does not have to wait for his class 12 scores for him to get an admission here. So our admissions for 23 started way back in September, October last year. And therefore we have about 3 regular cycles of admissions that have been done. I'm right now onto my 4th admission cycle for the regular admissions that are there. Students have to ensure that they showcase prowess in these 5 areas. One is your past academic records. So we're looking at your grade 10 scores, your grade 11 to an extent, but at least grade 10 scores. What does it showcase to us? That when you are studying at that point of time, you have the benefit of understanding it, you're able to express your understanding well through your exams as well. So grade 10 is important. Extracurricular achievements, naturally. What sort of a student am I getting into the program? What sort of value will that student actually contribute to me once he or she is part of my cohort? I think that comes across in a large way within the extracurricular achievements. And I would specifically say here, as an admissions person, extracurriculars doesn't just mean that you're a national level basketball player or a team player or likewise. I've had students who've mentioned the number of conferences that they've attended in grades 10 and 11 and 12 on a certain topic, and the sort of learnings that they have gotten from those conferences as well. That is good enough for me to understand that the child has a different bent of mind as well. So that particular partly take up. The statement of purpose. Around 30% of my weightage in selection goes to the statement of purpose. I'm very sure that all of us, given our experiences, I'm 15 years into education, Manika ma'am has spent decades in education, a lot of us as well out here. If I have to sit down and write what is my purpose, it is still a difficult exercise. It is still something that requires a lot of retooling, a lot of thinking as well. Having said that, we would like our students to start thinking in that particular sense, right? So there is a section which dictates within the online application, you can't complete your application if you're not through the statement of purpose. So there is a section that a child has to understand, A, why does he want to pick up the course that he wants to? So if a child wants to do bachelor's in design, product design program at Rishihood, then A, what excites him or her about product design? That is necessary. Why the particular institution? What sort of values or what sort of contribution can that child make to the institution as well? And what is the value that he's expecting out of us? Even if you are roughly clear, and it's not that we leave the child on his own and say, ki aap kar lo khud se. I have dedicated counselors who are attached to each and every student who take them through the process, they guide them. I personally do a lot of sessions on how to write a statement of purpose, how do you start thinking on it as well. So we will guide them, but that document is extremely, extremely important. The aptitude test, the scholarship and aptitude test, naturally, we are an impact university. We do not want to miss out on really good students, even if it is on the basis of financial constraints. So if I have a child who comes across and says that I have a financial constraint, but he's a brilliant kid, I would want to do as much help as possible to the child so that they could pursue their dreams of a higher education. So the scholarship test, the scholarship and aptitude test judges you on various aspects. These are multiple choice questions. We again help students prepare for them, sample papers, a lot of other things as well, but they have to score well there. And finally, the personal interview. The interview is not so much in terms of, sitting and grueling the child. The interview is more to get to know the child. You might be the best student in the world, I might be the best faculty in the world, this might be the best institution in the world, but if our love affair doesn't sink in, we're not going to be a happy marriage. So we need to ensure that we are able to sink in those three within the interview as well, and that's how the focus for the interview part is. Another interesting part that we did, and I'd mentioned that we wanted our admission process also to become a mentorship program, is the Catalyst course or Catalyst program that we provide to every student who applies to us. No matter which program, no matter what course, if a child applies to us through the online application form, yes, you go through the entire process, but every child also gets an access to 5 to 6 minimum online sessions. These could be webinars, these could be counseling sessions, these could be one-on-one mentorship calls, or likewise with our team. I have some resident counselors, I have faculty, and these are sessions on understanding various aspects. Recently we did a session on how can you think smarter to make your work easier as well, even for school students. What are the ways in which you can cut down on time? Memory, we strain we've always been taught in our schools for years that you need to rely on your memory to be able to pass your exams. That's how a lot of us have scored 95, 98, 99, God knows what. But you don't need to strain your memory so much. You have apps, you have things that you can use. Like Soumya mentioned, use technology to make your life easier. So if you can do those things, so certain aspects, likewise from that, to how do you deal with mental health issues, how do you handle exam stress, how do you prepare for an interview, a lot of these sessions are covered under the Catalyst, and naturally, it also gives you a chance to apply for as much scholarships as possible. So with that, this is a very strong part of our initiatives again. We've been doing interventions for school teachers, for counselors, for principals, so educators is one lot. We've been doing a lot of interventions for students, of course. But what about parents? A lot of parents still are under an umbrella which consists of only 4 or 5 careers. So when a child comes to the parent and says, I want to be a digital artist, maybe the parent doesn't understand. So we do have a growing community of parents that we've been nurturing online, offline likewise. We do conduct a lot of sessions for them as well in terms of the right form of parenting to understanding Indian values and how you can imbibe that in your own culture with your child, as well as in how to guide your child take the next step. We will be sharing these links in case if you all or maybe your own students' parents want to join in. I have copies of the Rishi Plus magazine. Rishi Plus is a fantastic. Can you get the copies? I think they're outside, and we can give through to all of them. Rishi Plus is a fantastic idea that we started years back. Again, Samya's initiative. The idea was to document ideas, people, culture, learning experiences, and understand how can we reshape human life as well. So I'm going to give you a copy each of these magazines. Should you wish to contribute to them as a writer, as an author, please feel free to do that. We have author contributions from a lot of people from inside the campus, outside the campus as well, including our students, and these should be interesting reads for you to go through. The summer school is again an initiative that we've taken in to start talking to students much earlier. A lot of stress comes on to a child when he comes on to 12th standard, and the pressure is that ab to aapko zindagi decide karni hi hai, kyunki 12th khatam ho gaya aapka. So maybe from grades 9, 10, 11, 12 onwards, we do residential programs. So summer school, the Indic Summer School is a 1-week residential program that will be conducted on campus between the 4th of June to the 10th of June. This is predominantly for middle level and high school level students. Idea is to expose them to various areas of academics and non-academics both. So they have a lot of fun, and our aim is to make them rooted and free leaders. How can you be rooted within your value systems but also be free, also explore new areas of thinking? But apart from that, they also have a lot of internships. So throughout the duration of their 4 years of study here, every summer the child is supposed to do an internship. In fact, every semester the child is supposed to do. Specifically within the School of Creativity, the students come in with an earn while you learn sort of a thought process. They do look for internships with various companies, both studios, workshops, as well as larger brands, wherever they wish to sort of move into as far as their career goes.